General Crime Overview. Seychelles encounters various types of criminal activities, with a predominant focus on non-violent incidents. The most frequently reported crimes include theft, such as petty theft, pickpocketing, and opportunistic burglaries. While violent crime occurrences are relatively infrequent, it is important to note that they can occur on rare occasions. Most visits to Seychelles remain trouble-free. Official police figures indicate a continuous decrease in violent crime. The Seychelles National Bureau of Statistics publishes quarterly reports on criminal statistics, which can be viewed online. Recent reports highlight several criminal trends. Property crime experienced a decline during the last year from 194 cases in the first quarter 2022 to 177 in the first quarter in 2023. Burglaries reduced by half, from just over 1,000 annually before the pandemic to approximately 500. However, they are now showing signs of rebounding. Theft numbers dropped less significantly but have also begun to increase. The police record less than one robbery per week on an annual basis. From first quarter 2022 to first quarter 2023, there has been an observation that the primary crime categories contributing to the police reactive cases were theft, offenses against persons, and burglaries. The majority of theft cases, accounting for over 3/4, were attributed to stealing. In the case of burglaries, out of the 177 recorded cases in the first quarter 2023, the highest proportion, 26%, was reported at the Montfleury police station. Sexual offenses have gradually declined over the past few years, showing a decrease of over 10% since 2018. The Global Organized Crime Index is a tool used to assess levels of organized crime and a country's resilience to such activities. In the most recent index, Seychelles ranks 159 out of 193 worldwide for criminality, with 1 being the worst possible ranking. Crime areas of concern. There have been reports of an increase in muggings and petty crimes such as purse snatching and pickpocketing, particularly in and around tourist facilities and ATMs. Foreigners frequenting certain areas may experience theft from vehicles, beaches, and walking trails. It is important to exercise extra caution when near ATMs and in the back streets of Beau-Vallon and Victoria. Criminals also target trekking tours, walking trails, and beaches due to the high number of tourists. It is advised to use common sense, stay alert, and be aware of your surroundings at all times. Drug crime. The number of drug-related arrests, according to National Bureau of Statistics Seychelles, shows a consistent annual increase, with total 628 cases in 2022 and 294 in the first quarter of 2023. The presence of illegal drugs and the misuse of prescription drugs affect both visitors and locals. Terrorism assessment. Based on the evaluation carried out by the U.S. Department of State, Victoria has been identified as a place with a minimal risk of terrorism. The travel advisory for Seychelles issued by the U.S. Department of State does not contain a terrorism T indicator. Moreover, the Institute for Economics and Peace Global Terrorism Index 2023 does not provide a ranking for the influence of terrorism on Seychelles. Seychelles has remained free from any terrorist incidents to date. There is no information about any known terrorist organizations operating within the country. Political violence and civil unrest environment. As per the assessment carried out by the U.S. Department of State, Victoria has been identified as a location with a relatively low risk of political violence. The travel advisory for Seychelles, issued by the U.S. Department of State, does not feature a civil unrest U indicator. However, it is crucial to be aware that civil unrest can emerge unexpectedly, causing disruptions in logistics and services. It is strongly advised to refrain from participating in demonstration activities, as even peaceful demonstrations may escalate into violence. While demonstrations and protests do occur, they are relatively rare and usually connected with election-related issues. The majority of such events, whether they are organized or spontaneous, generally conclude peacefully. Political stability. In the 2020 joint presidential and legislative elections, the opposition party candidate achieved victory with 54.9% of the vote, representing the first opposition win in the country in 44 years. The transition of power occurred peacefully and without violence. International election observers from the East Africa Standby Force declared the elections to be free, credible, and transparent, although there were a few reports of vote buying and instances of voter intimidation. Law enforcement in Seychelles. The Seychelles police force is responsible for internal security and comprises both unarmed officers and an armed paramilitary unit called the Police Special Support Wing. Additionally, the Anti-Narcotics Bureau and Marine Police Unit fall under their jurisdiction, reporting to the Internal Affairs Minister. External security is handled by the Seychelles People's Defense Forces, which includes the infantry, special forces, Coast Guard, and Air Force. These military services can assist the police in internal security matters when needed. The President, acting as Defense Minister, oversees these military services, and civilian authorities maintain effective control over the security forces. However, there have been some reports of abuses by members of the security forces. Maritime Safety in Seychelles. The inner islands of Seychelles are easily reachable by boat or ferry, providing tourists with a range of day trip choices. Before embarking, it's vital to confirm that the vessel carries sufficient safety equipment, including life jackets and ship-to-shore radios. Travel to the outer islands like the Amarant Islands, Cosmolito, and Aldabra groups necessitates approval from the Seychelles Maritime Safety Authority. Fortunately, in recent years, reported pirate activities in the western region of Seychelles have significantly reduced. Government initiatives on security. The Seychelles government has taken several measures to bolster security and address potential terrorist threats. These efforts encompass close collaboration with international security agencies, reinforced border controls, and increased security presence at airports and critical sites. Seychelles past piracy threat. Seychelles had a history of piracy, with Somali pirates being a major threat in the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. They primarily targeted vessels like tankers and dry bulkers, seeking significant profits from their attacks. Private yachts, especially those closer to the southern islands along the African east coast, were particularly vulnerable. To address this security issue, regulations were put in place to safeguard yachts and pleasure boats. They are now required to stay within 12 nautical miles offshore in designated areas, including the Gulf of Aden, Indian Ocean, and the Arabian Sea. One notable incident occurred in January 2011, when Somali pirates seized a German cargo ship and its crew. The distressed crew's distress signals went unanswered for 2.5 days, but they managed to evade the pirates and hide until rescue came. Another attack, in March 2011, was thwarted thanks to the timely report from a fishing vessel about the approaching armed pirates, 260 nautical miles off the northwest coast of Seychelles. The pirates were scared off by the presence of a whaler, and were later apprehended. Fortunately, efforts to combat piracy in Seychelles have been successful. In 2015, the Minister for Tourism and Culture, Alain Saint-Ange, reassured superyacht visitors that piracy was no longer a concern. Consequently, private yachts and luxury yacht charters have returned to the archipelago, often employing armed guards for added security. For those without the means to hire armed guards, a precautionary measure is to stay within 12 nautical miles from the shore when traveling by boat in Seychelles. This significantly reduces the risk of encountering piracy incidents. In 2016, NATO made the decision to conclude Operation Ocean Shield, their counter-piracy initiative. This was due to the lack of successful attacks since May 2012. While 2 unsuccessful attacks were recorded in 2014, it is essential to note that the likelihood of falling victim to serious crime while visiting Seychelles is notably reduced if one avoids venturing into the high seas. Counterintelligence issues. In the past, Seychelles maintained a close relationship with the Russian Federation, and the significant Russian presence in the country raised concerns regarding potential intelligence gathering activities targeting Western individuals. Since 2018, Seychelles has also participated in China's Belt and Road Initiative, leading to an expected increase in Chinese interest and investment. This heightened involvement may offer opportunities for counterintelligence operations that could potentially target private sector interests. To address potential risks in such situations, it is advisable to take measures to safeguard proprietary or personal information that you do not want to be compromised by competitors or other entities. This can be achieved by employing encryption, ensuring the implementation of robust security measures, or refraining from storing sensitive data on devices or systems. Travel advisory. Seychelles has generally maintained a low terrorism risk. However, it is essential to stay informed about the latest travel advisories issued by your home country's government or reputable international organizations. These advisories offer up-to-date information and valuable guidance for travelers, particularly regarding potential risks associated with terrorism. If you liked the video, show us your appreciation with a simple like and subscribe to our channel.